Hi, I'm Kyle Dorman from Ray White, Cranbourne and Cheltenham, where I'm the operations manager. Sort of what that entails is a lot of variety. One part of it is to sort of look at our processes, our efficiencies, our programs, our platforms, and sort of delve into that and find ways that our business can operate better, which is probably sort of how we came to this story that we're going to go through now. So we are the largest real estate franchise in Australasia. We're won the Major Network of the Year 5 years in a row for the REB Awards, which is an Australian Real Estate Awards, which sort of does highlight the size of our franchise. $6.68 billion of unconditional real estate. That number looks great and everything. It's probably a bit misleading of over 880 offices. Take that off what you will. The corporate team members is one that we find really sort of a great stat to flex, I guess you could say. So we have different corporate teams over each state and the international branches also. But when we get a new team member or a new recruit to the franchise, that's one thing that they sort of highlight is the difference is the strength of our corporate team. I know during this pandemic, they were on the front foot, constantly coming up with, different ways what we can do, different training, different social media content, everything that we could have asked for, they were there. There was daily training sessions for every different department across all real estate, sales and property management, and also admin. Every day there was an hour Zoom training in the morning. You could jump in. They updated us with the current landscape, what we can be saying to our clients, what we can do, what we can't do. So that support was really great. It's probably highlighted the strength of our network. Also, we came number 42 in the top global family business index. I know that is one that the White family is very proud of. So it is a family started business by the Whites in Queensland. I think Crow's Nest was their original location. And while it's grown to such a large franchise, the family values are still there at its core. And I do know that's something that we as a franchise hold very dearly. It's very important to them. So that stat there I know is something that they value very highly. So we'll just go to the next one. So just sort of delve into a little bit of where we are. As you can see there, but mainly in Australasia and New Zealand, we've got over 880 plus there, almost 900 there now. We have sort of gone internationally as well. So I think Greece was our latest office that we've opened up internationally. And we also have one in Hong Kong. And pre-COVID times when the world was driven on paper and you had to go to an office to sign a contract. I do know there was a good story of one of our Sydney agents sold a property to a buyer in Hong Kong, and they went into the Hong Kong office to sign the paperwork as they weren't able to do digital signing at the time. So it is a bit of a sign of the strength of our network, and I do know that some agents use that in listing presentations as well, that we can sell internationally as well as onshore. So this is a bit of an overview of the size of our franchise, and to sort of bring it down a little bit, we've got 103 offices in the Victoria, Tasmania network. So each state has its own corporate team, as I mentioned, and our awards nights are broken down to our state now area as well. So Victoria, Tasmania is the one that we operate within in that space. So a bit of a business overview on our two. So I've been speaking about the franchise of Ray White as a whole, but myself, I work for Ray White, Cranbourne and Cheltenham. So we have the same owner and director, and he's had Cranbourne for 15 years now in the business. So we do 300 to 350 sales per year. There's probably more of a reflection on the last 12 months. We can hit 400 and about the 4 mil mark. But with the COVID times, it's sort of going to hit around that area there. So about 3 to 3.5 million comms per year. The marketplace in Cranbourne, we're sort of looking at average house prices around the $500,000 mark. Our rental managements, we got 1647 at the time of putting this together. We actually just hit 1700. So in the last month or so, we've gained an extra 50, which sort of shows some great growth that we have going on at the moment, which is a great sign coming out of, the COVID restrictions. What we were able to do and where other agents failed and we didn't, we're picking up a lot of managements from them at the moment. We've got a team of 32 in the sales and rentals. So that's excluding our international team and our operations team. As our international team and operations team work across both businesses, I haven't included them in that number, but we have 13 international team members and we have 9 in our operations team. So in real terms, we've probably got 50 odd in Cranbourne and mid-30s in Cheltenham for the size. Cheltenham, we've only had for 5 years. And when we brought the business, it was a I guess, a lot smaller business and wasn't run very well. So we had a 100% staff turnover in the first 12 months after buying it, and sort of rebuilt the business and the reputation in the area. And in the last couple of years, we're starting to gain some traction and grow and develop the business. About $1.5 million in comp per year, but the last couple of months has sort of picked up a lot. We're tracking to be about $2 million this year, and about 750 rental managements, and the team size, as I mentioned. So both businesses are about 45 minutes apart geography wise, but in the difference in, I'm not sure if many of you know the areas, but the difference in the people that you deal with there are quite extreme. Cranbourne's probably a lower socioeconomic area. Cheltenham's a bit more high end, so we're selling $1.5 million properties in Cheltenham, about $500,000 in Cranbourne. We've got a lot of a diverse culture in Cranbourne, where Cheltenham's not as much. So it's quite interesting for us team members to get to work across both offices, that we get that variety and dealing with a completely different set of people and circumstances each day, which I know adds a lot of excitement to my role, and something I do enjoy. But yeah, that's sort of a bit of an overview about our business and franchise there. So I guess this is where our story started. It probably happened about 24 months ago. We had some staff members, and in the property management, if you're not familiar, it's probably a female-dominated industry, the property management side of real estate. And so we had some of our long-term staff members go on maternity leave and sort of looking for ways back into the business. And we found ourselves sort of restricted in what we could offer those team members, even though they were great people, great workers, but they wanted, 3 days here or 2 days here. And we're sort of restricted by the barriers that an office creates. By having to be in those four walls, and the way we sort of ran our business, we weren't able to offer the flexibility that we wanted to. And then it sort of opened our mind up to, if we can remove those barriers, not only can we keep our people, but what other people can we attract? We could find some really great workers that were not able to work where they were anymore due to location or lifestyle reasons or anything like that, that if we remove those barriers, we allowed them to work from wherever, and we were completely remote and flexible, what kind of talent could we attract into our business, and not only attract, but then keep the talent that we have, and make it a more enjoyable place to work. And if we break down those barriers, does that increase productivity and results? So it was something that really sort of struck a chord with us, and we thought, how do we do this? And one of the things that we thought straight away is we need to get digital. We need to be cloud-based. So we started looking at every aspect of our business, from phone systems to CRMs to server-based programs, removing all those things and becoming cloud-based. Contract signing going digital, paper files being removed, filing cabinets going. So every aspect of that is sort of where we went. And we're probably lucky that we thought about this pre-COVID. So when COVID came, at a drop of a hat, we closed our office, went home, and there was no steps. Some people think we were a bit of visionaries, but we completely fluked it. So I don't want to take credit for that. We just got lucky in that space. So what we started to do is, on our focus to go digital, we wanted to just go on study tours. So myself and Mark went around to different offices, different states. We always tied them in with a cricket game or a footy game there. So we were a bit smart about that with making them a business trip, but we got a bit of fun out of them as well. And seeing what other offices did. So taking a bit from here and a bit from there, and moving in that space. So that was the challenge that we found ourselves presented with. And that led us to, within the team, looking inside, what were these barriers? Working with rigid tools, checklists, paper forms. If you've got a paper checklist that you start on your desk, and then the next day you're not working at home, how do you remember where you're at? Where do you go from that aspect? And when we're running checklists like this and processes, we're dependent on meetings. So for me to find out, as a manager, what my team have done, I can't just sort of look at a space, which monday.com does provide, which I'll sort of delve into a little bit later, but look at a board and see where everything's at. So it involved in, emails going back and forth, or having a meeting to find out where we're at with everything. Too much time was being spent on manual tasks. If, contacting a supplier to cancel services when we can't automate those steps. So all these things was what we sort of all grabbed into as the barriers that we need to remove, and also the processes that had human error involved in them, because they were so manual. We weren't automated enough. We didn't have enough AI in our business. So that was some of the challenges that we presented, which leads us to trying to find a solution. And as I mentioned, when we went on this study tour to try and become cloud-based and digital, the office that we actually met with Ray White Norwood in South Australia. They showed us when they were running a meeting, they had all their meeting notes and talking points on monday.com. And it was up on the TV, and we sort of said, what program are you using there? The interface looks really good. It's a really attractive interface. And they mentioned monday.com, and so we sort of delved into that a little bit more. And they weren't originally going to talk about it, but just the eye-catching nature of the way that the meeting agenda was displayed led us to sort of ask more questions. And so we went into it. They showed us how they were sort of using it for a prospecting tool and different ways. And we thought, look, this is fantastic. This is what we're looking for. This is going to help us go digital and become remote. And we think we can implement it a different way and develop it to suit our business. So that's how we came across the platform Monday. And some of the benefits we found is obviously the flexible work system. As I mentioned, being able to collaborate globally and remotely. We can start somewhere, pick it up somewhere, and finish somewhere else. It doesn't have to be home, office. It can be on the road. The app's really user-friendly as well. It's fantastic that way. We've got it set up that I'll email one of the boards and it will go into the task, and then 5, 6 different people get notified that the task is there. They can grab it and assign it to themselves and work through it that way. If I need to see anything, or any manager, we've got a management team of about 6 across both businesses. So anything we need to see, we've got the dashboard there that we can view it at a glance. And obviously being meeting heavy and client heavy during the day, and we're looking at these things after hours at times. So to be able to get a response from a team member is quite slow, but having the ability to look at our system, on the fly after hours and know everything, see the trail, see where everything's at was, a huge benefit to us. The automation capabilities and reduce human error, I'll delve into that in a couple of other slides with some examples, but that's been a huge benefit to us. And just creating more efficiency, removing so many extra manual steps and becoming more efficient as well. So in running the more efficient steps, we're able to turn something that would take 4 or 5 different actions into one. So we could set it up with the automations integrations tab where a team member can just hit one button, and then we've set up the integrations automations behind to send an email to this person, send an email to this person, notify this person to make this call, and do those 5 steps involved into one. So you're turning a 25-minute task into a 1-second button push, which was just huge for us. It's a game changer for us. And we found that it has changed the mental state of our team as well. So those ones that were stressing about, this task takes me 2 hours, we've combined it down to 10 minutes now. And what that's done to their day and to our clients as well. So, because that extra, hour and a half that they have is now spent on the phones, increasing our customer service, and in turn, increasing, our business now, return to business from those clients as well. So streamlining communication, which is sort of on that efficiency I've touched on. So if you can see the video there, these are some of the rental checklists we had. So as we're clicking on one there, you can see different steps. So we cancel a detector inspector service. They just now push that button, an email will go out to that service telling them which property the service needs to be cancelled. What we were finding is that team members would get to this checklist when it was on paper, and they got 4 steps. Okay, I'm going to do these 4 steps. I'm going to tick them. I'm going to start these 4 steps. And then their phone would ring and we got hot water system has burst. That's urgent. I need to pick that up and do that. So I spend the next hour fixing that problem. Then when they come back, they see those steps ticked and they weren't actually done. And then, 6 months down the track, that service gets completed. Landlord says, I've cancelled that service. That's not us. We pay that service. Which was, increasing our costs that were being covered. And that's just one small example there that I think is a great example of what it has done. But as you can see, we've got multiple integrations that has changed everything. Keeping sales teams updated when a property that they referred has left us. They know that they can now chase that for a sales opportunity as well. So yeah, it's been a huge increase in efficiency just by them ticking a box rather than having to complete the actions. It also takes the accountability and the liability off our team members and puts it back onto our system. And that's something that we know we think like we're built that is foolproof, and it doesn't have sort of, the lack of consistency. It is consistent because we're built it this way. As long as this button's pushed, it will work. Whereas the consistency with a team member can change for, multiple environmental reasons and reasons within that person themselves. So we took that onus back and put it back onto our own program. Lead management. So this was one we had a big focus on trying to combine our rentals and sales team, make them work better. I'm not sure how many people deal with too many real estates, or if you have many real estate clients at the moment. But some real estates keep those two businesses quite separate. And I know instances where they're actually in separate locations as well. And we were really keen on developing that connection between the two, because in a way you are a lead source for each other. And within that, so we financially reward leads. And we got to the point, the tracking of it was an email here, email there, and the admin team was spending hours trying to track down these leads and ensure that the right person was paid. So using a form, we stumbled across the form system in monday.com. I can't even remember how we came across it, but since we have, we've used it in many different forums. But this one here, we found as a great benefit. So, every team member's got a link. They just put the details in, then it goes to the right person. It gets referred across to the agent that needs to do it. And then all they do is they just process the lead and follow up that client. And then our international team members jump in monday.com board and they'll update it based on our CRM. So once it's appraised, once it's leased, once it's listed, they'll update it. And then all the automatic communication goes out. So the lead referrer gets updated constantly where it's at. The agent gets updated constantly where it's at. The accounts team gets updated on who to pay, when to pay, all automatically, which has been a huge benefit for us. And one thing I've loved about it is being able to set up the automation. So if an agent gets a lead and they don't follow it up on day one, they'll get one notification saying, you haven't followed this lead up yet. You need to action this. Day 2, I'll send them 2. Day 3, I'll send them 3, and so forth. So just increase that accountability back to them, because if they don't action the lead, they get to the point where they're telling me to turn these bloody notifications off, because I'm start spamming with them, because we just set up to increase the amount of notifications that go to them. So it's been a good sort of management tool in that aspect as well. One area in real estate that sort of frustrated us was the CRMs. They catered to the sales team, and there wasn't much in regards to the business development team and rentals. So, and then when there was, the AI was very limited in that. So I've got the video showing here. We decided to build our own CRM within monday.com. So we have an international team member who trawls through all the different sort of the databases, RP data, Price Finder, our own database, realestate.com, gathers information, finds out who owns a property, their contact details, which agent's renting that, and pop them in our CRM that we've built here. And you say, I think we've got 27 integrations per area, plus another 15 automations as well, and pops them in, and we just built it to how we want. So at tax time, we want this to be said to them when their inspection's due of another agency. We want this email. We want to remind them that their agent should be conducting the inspection. So if their other agent doesn't conduct their inspection, and us, who they barely know, are telling them their inspection's due, we're going to be the first person that they call. So this has been a bit of a game changer for us, because it allowed us to have the flexibility that no other CRM does. And we're able to build this, and we're sending hundreds of emails a day out to all these clients, all being signed off from our BDM, who's doing not one bit of work. So we think that the way that that's improved how many doors that they're going to get in the future. And it's a fairly new sort of venture for us. We've only been doing it for 2 to 3 months. So we think in 12 months' time, the payoff for this is going to be massive. And it is what the platform's allowed us to do, is build this completely flexible CRM to suit our needs, which no one else allows us. So all the CRMs have action plan triggers in, but they're very rigid. And it doesn't allow us to create it the way we need it to be created. And I've briefly mentioned this before, but one of the parts, and I don't use this as well as I should, but it's definitely a focus for me moving forward, is the project overview at a glance. We can see there on our leads dashboard, we can see who's referring well, who's not referring well, if the lead allocations need to go elsewhere, just at a glance. We don't need to delve into the data and trawl through it, because it's there right in front of us. Completing projects as well. So I know the recent one we had was our Christmas party, and we put a fair bit of stock into making that a great event based on the year that we had. We really wanted to end the year really well. Obviously, it's a challenging year for some. So we put a lot of work into that, and with that, there's a lot of people working on it and getting everything organized. So for us to be able to just view it and say, okay, there's 17 steps here, or 17% of tasks that need to be done, I can click on them and see them, or there's 10% of quotes waiting for myself or Mark to approve. And I can just click on that and view that at a glance without having to go back and forth emails with our team. It's a huge benefit to us. The geographical mapping. So this one we sort of just did it for a bit of fun, and it actually turned into quite a bit of benefit for us. Once we found the form feature, we thought, what else does this have? What other options are there? Because we only really looked at the main table originally, and we found a mapping feature. So we thought, because this is during our COVID lockdown, let's drop all our rental managements in there and see where they're mapped. So we did that, and as you can see sort of an example here, and then we broke it down to the property manager. So we're looking at where a property manager manages their portfolio. And we had people that were living in Pakenham, but doing mainly a Frankston portfolio and vice versa. So we thought this is a great tool that we can then reassign properties based on location with this feature here and reduce the amount of travel time that someone's having, because we've removed the barrier of work of the office. Everyone's sitting at home now. So how great would it be if all their properties they had to inspect was within a 15-minute radius rather than traveling 45 minutes for inspection, 45 back? You lose an hour and a half of time. So this is a great help for us, being able to reassign our portfolios based on the geographic locations. And it's also helped us identify that, we've got some properties here, but we don't have anyone that lives there. So, next time an opportunity comes up, we're going to keep that in mind as well, finding somebody in that location and, retarget our ads through social media to a Dandenong area, for example, because that's the area that we're looking for, because we want people to work a portfolio that they're local to. So it sort of comes back to just breaking down those barriers that we've spoken about and becoming completely remote and digital. Another feature that we've really enjoyed as well was when we have the paper checklist, you can't link a video or an instruction manual or anything to that. So once we put everything on the monday.com platform, we then went on we used Loom as our screen capture program, and we recorded everything we do. So every single process we did, first time we did it, we record it, voice over, save it, and then pop it into the checklist. So then the next person's doing it, every time they do a step, if they haven't done it before, it doesn't matter because they can watch the video. So we think our business got to the size, and the term we use probably isn't right, but if someone gets hit by a bus tomorrow, we don't want our business to change. So we tried to sort of target that sort of mantra and make it so that I can pick up a task that I've never done before, but do it because I've got the instruction manuals there. And the other side of that was we found that if somebody was unsure on how to do a task and then they asked the person next to them, that instead of just being that 2-minute chat about how to do the task, it elongates into a 5 or 10-minute discussion. Just human nature takes over, and there's a bit of back and forth. And then the person sitting across from them also chimes in about their opinion on that matter. And the loss of productivity is huge. But now there's a video linked straight to the steps. You don't have to go looking for the video. It's right there in front of you. It's easier than asking the person next to you. And the efficiency that's created is probably unquantifiable in some measures. And so I've tried to quantify some of these impact metrics for you today, just to sort of get a feel for what it's done. So internal emails have been eliminated. So where we're going back and forth, sending 100 to 200 emails a day to my team, there's none of that anymore. I just go on a Monday. They go to Monday. If there is an email, it's me emailing the Monday board. So we set up, each board has its own email address. So if I'm just in my emails, I can send it to there, or I can just jump into the board and add it myself. And then all the updates and tracking of the information is all within the board. So the time that's saved, I probably couldn't put it into a time, into an hours, and then obviously that converts to dollars as well. But we haven't done that. But emails will be 100 to 200 a day, which has been a big benefit to us. Efficiency, we've done that about 70%. That's probably more based on our rental team and their time taken to do their checklist. So as we mentioned with the steps, going from a 20-minute step to a 5-second step in some instances, we've probably measured that about 70% increase from how long the task now takes to how long it does take. And we've got 1.5K saving at the moment in the human error that we've stopped by services being cancelled, payment gateway systems being cancelled as well by the automation. And that's over about a 5-month period there. So about $300 a month. So it pretty much pays for the platform itself in that aspect as well. But what isn't measured is, if that mistake happens, then what other businesses that cost us? That could cost us a $15,000 commission down the track, or a client that we lose that we can't quantify that as well. So once again, I try to put these impact into metrics, so they're probably on the low side as well. So the impact's been huge for us. So within that, I guess what's next for us, we're using monday.com and a platform and our search to be even more digital and more remote and more flexible. And within that, I sort of mentioned it before, but the dashboard is something I really want to focus on. We want to get to the point that we can manage our workloads with our team just by looking at the dashboard. So it's something we haven't done now. We haven't used the people assign allocation column as well as we should. So that's going to be a huge focus for us, and getting to the point that everything we do is within the platform and within the system, that we now can assign anything. I can see who's got a busy week, so who I can help, who needs help, who may be at a stress point, who's got extra time to pick up some other tasks as well. So that's been a big benefit to us. The geographical mapping we're going to keep using to reassign our portfolios and make sure that we're as efficient as we can possibly be in that space. And the two new features as well. So the email feature that we've been testing the beta for is, so we haven't used it too much, but in our testing so far, it's been really good. So once again, it stops us from having to go within Monday, then back out to our Gmail and back and forth. And one of our things that we always come across with systems that allow emailing within it is it doesn't look like a real email. It looks like it comes from a different system, and then it makes it feel automated. And we don't want the client to feel automated, even though 90% of the time they are now. We don't want that feel. So you can see in my example, I've put the screenshot there. That looks like a legitimate Gmail email. So us as a Ray White network, we use the G Suite products. So that was really important to us, as well as the ability to have the whole email trail within the monday.com task, and then be able to add our own internal notes. So while we haven't been able to use it too much yet, because we're only sort of just using the beta at this stage, it is something that we're definitely going to progress with in the future. And also the item card, or the contact card, which has been really good for us in the BDM database that we built. Because with the horizontal view, it is hard to see all the information at once. So we had about 25 columns there. So to be able to put it in a display case like this, and then remove some columns to only see the information we want. This is a great tool for us, and something that we're definitely going to use in all our BDM database and any sort of database work we do. Have a contact card or an item card like this is a great feature, and something that we're looking forward to use further in the future. So obviously, thanks for listening to all that. I hope everybody took something from it.